All right, thanks for your patience, guys. Let's get started. First off, I just wanted to thank you all for taking the time to log on today and be a part of this learning lab. Um, just want to kind of go over high level things that we're going to be covering today. So by the end of this session, we're hoping that you're going to be able to structure your knowledge base, organize groups, and take inventory. This is, about building the foundation of your knowledge and getting you kicked off with a great start for Guru. We want you to help. We want to help you guys get the most out of your first introduction with Guru. So that's kind of the idea here today. So this is going to be a really interactive webinar. It's not just your, run of the mill. That's why we're calling it a learning lab. So we want your participation here. Feel free to jump in at any time with any questions that you may have as we're going. We're here to make this the best experience for you. We're also going to be including some questions, polls, some demos that I'll be showing you, and then giving you time where you can do actionable items to get your Guru instance going. So the first step that will help us get started is for you to open up your Guru instance. If you don't have a trial or an account set up yet, you can click on this bit.ly here and set up a trial right away. And then also as well, we know that this is kind of going to be moving kind of fast. So if you're taking notes, that's great. But if not, we're going to have a recording. So we can send that to you afterwards. And like I said, feel free to jump in with any questions as we're going along. So here's how we're going to get started. There's going to be 3 sections to the Learning Lab. So we're going to go over some high-level concepts about knowledge and knowledge bases and kind of the Guru approach to how we recommend knowledge be structured. And then we're going to talk about how what this looks like for other customers that have been successful in Guru in the past. And then we're going to give you some time to try it out for yourself. Awesome. So before we get started, I'd love to know, why is everyone here? I think that there are a lot of commonalities and issues that, high growth companies are what's bringing them to Guru. We'd love to hear what those are as we kind of jump into this activity. So take a few seconds and just jump in the chat and share what kind of challenges are kind of bringing you into Guru and how we can potentially help you with that. Katarina says that they're still exploring Guru and how it can work for their company. That's awesome. Yeah, I think some other responses that we've got are just here to learn about better skills to tackle knowledge management and looking to kind of start fresh and start with a good foundation for your team. So let's jump into that. So here at Guru, our mission statement or philosophy that kind of drives our whole approach and product is that the knowledge you need to do your job should find you when and where you need it. So really removing those roadblocks to empower your teammates, whether for you guys, I know a lot of you are here running customer success or support teams. So helping your agents really have the agency to find the knowledge they need to do their job in the best way possible. We've worked with hundreds of customers who have had this same pain point and have put knowledge as the center point for their team's success. So would love to help you guys get started with that. So from a really bird's eye view, we're going to talk about what knowledge is. So we all know knowledge can come in a lot of different forms and materials, but ultimately it's the information necessary for you to complete your everyday task. So you want to be confident in that content, and a lot of that you want to be confident in your content so that you can use that to be confident in your job. So this can look like a handful of different things. Is it an answer to a customer FAQ, a step-by-step process for using a tool in your tech stack, a really good asset that is shareable with a customer, or just simple stuff like your company PTO policy and benefits information? Guru can help you store all of this stuff. So we're in story time now. I'm going to introduce you guys to a star customer of ours named Brianna. And Brianna is an enablement manager for a support and success team. Her biggest pain point when coming to Guru is that her internal support team was spending like close to half of their week fielding product questions in Slack to the rest of their organization. This was really slowing them down and causing a bottleneck, creating confusion with their wider org around simple stuff. And it was, creating issues for them actually being able to perform as external support agents. So we were really focused on helping them get their knowledge in order so that they could refocus on those crucial baseline KPIs of improving ticket response times and CSAT scores. So this may resonate with some of you as support leaders. So we're going to talk about kind of, as we go through this webinar, Brianna's journey here and how we got from A to Z with their team. Awesome. So first, we're going to dive into how to structure your team's knowledge for success. So your team's ideal knowledge structure. After working with a lot of teams with like super siloed knowledge sources, we found that these 3 elements are helpful to keep in mind when thinking about setting up your knowledge base. So you want to have one location, one single source of truth for all up-to-date knowledge. That one location will save your team time when it comes to searching for knowledge, and won't be spending like a ton of just checking different locations for materials that they know exist, but they're not really sure where they are. And once you have everything in one place, you want to make sure that it's organized and easy to navigate. So we find that the best way to set this up is by putting things in kind of what we call collections by department. So think of collections as folders, and we'll kind of get into that later, but that's a great way to separate things by department or topics. So here we have customer experience and sales, 2 separate buckets. And then lastly, you just want to make sure that your team has access to the right knowledge. You don't want HR policies to necessarily clutter the search for your support teams. So you can segment that access in your knowledge base, and we'll talk about that later. So we're going to go through the content hierarchy in Guru a little bit more in the next Getting Started session. But just for a quick overview, this is how knowledge is structured in Guru. So collection is the highest tier. And like I said, we'll dig into these kind of second tiers, board groups, and cards in our next learning lab. But collections are really where we're diving in. Great. So what are collections? Collections you can think of as the concert or the festival. They're the location you would go to hear music, or in this case, consume knowledge. So you want your collection to be a specific type of knowledge, like I said, your sales or support collection, specific to a particular department. So it can be specific to what kind of concert or festival you're creating content for. Another good way to think about it is a permission and access-based folder. So like I mentioned earlier, you can configure who gets to see this collection and what abilities they'll have within that collection, whether that's to author knowledge or just be a read-only user. This is a great way for you to segment your team's knowledge. So you can make a collection accessible to multiple groups or specific groups. So like I mentioned before with HR, there's an HR collection with kind of personal material at Guru, but because that might be confidential, I don't even really know it exists. I've never seen it, and it's hidden because it's not pertinent to me. So that's certainly an option as you're setting up your collections. Awesome. So we're going to jump into a poll here. We've talked about collections as the one place for your team's knowledge here in Guru. So I'm curious, what's the one place your team is going daily for frequently asked questions right now? So I'm going to launch this poll and just take a look at it and let us know where your team is going for these frequently asked questions right now. Wow. So 100% of you said Slack, Teams, or some other chat app, which we hear about a lot. And the rest of you are also looking in other kind of support driven locations like Zendesk or an internal wiki, as well as Google Drive. Um, Luckily, all of these different apps are things that we play really well with, and we can help you transition from or use in conjunction with. So that's really exciting. So back to Brianna. Um, so she had a little bit of a predicament. If you checked more than one place in the poll, you and Brianna were kind of experiencing the same problems. Basically, like I mentioned earlier, their support team is spending a great deal of time in Slack every day fielding questions where the answers did exist in other tools like Google Drive, Zendesk, but other people on their team had no access to that information. So it was really difficult for them to focus on creating good customer experiences and having those really great conversations with customers because they were also helping their internal team run. So what Guru allowed them to do is unify their team's knowledge across all of those departments, all of those tools, and create a single source of truth. All right, so now on to go time. I'm gonna show you guys now how to create a collection in your Guru trial account. I'm gonna give you a bit of a demo, and then we're gonna come back and we'll have a list of step-by-step instructions and give you all about 5 minutes to do it yourself. So I'm gonna transition out of slides and go into Guru here. So if you're following along in your account here, you're gonna go to you're gonna end up in your dashboard here. In order to create a collection, you're gonna click on your avatar here in the right-hand corner and go to your team settings. First off, you wanna make sure that you're an admin. Admins, you need to have admin capability in order to create a new collection. If you're not an admin, and someone else who created the trial on your team is, just ask them to add you so you can create one. Next up, we're gonna go to the collections tab here, and you should see a button that says create collection. I'm gonna create my customer support collection, choose a collection owner, and save. So that's how we create our collection. If you go to the knowledge page, you'll see that here. Awesome. So we're gonna go back. Here are the step-by-step instructions in case I moved a little fast for you to follow along. And we're gonna take 5 minutes where you can do that and create your customer support or success team collection in Guru. Feel free to pop in the chat if you have any questions while you're doing this. Great. One of you just asked, what is a collection owner? If you were watching my demo, you'll see that I chose that as I was setting up the collection. A collection owner is a group that has like ownership over the collection. So basically this allows you to create and set permissions on the board level, and only people who are in the collection owner group can do that. That's different than just being an author. So we'll kind of get into that, into the nitty gritty of those permissions in our following learning labs. But a collection owner just basically is like the highest level of ownership and like authorship over a collection possible. Another great question just came in. If I have one more department trial, more than one department trialing Guru, should I create more than one collection? Yes. So like I mentioned earlier, a best practice we've seen with hundreds of teams is to create a collection per department. So each department has a domain where their content and knowledge can live. So if you have a stakeholder that you're working with from another department, encourage them to create their own collection. That can be their sandbox where they can create the content for their team, and we'll work out permissionings for those as we go along. Great, we're gonna move along now. Hopefully you guys all had your collection set up. If you ran into any roadblocks, please share that. We're happy to help, but hopefully it went smoothly. One thing I just wanted to shout out is something that we just released. We would love for you all to try it, and we would love to get your feedback. If you've just started a new trial, you might have seen a little pop-up that looks a bit like this. These are what we're calling frameworks. So this is a great way for you to get started with a kind of inspirational structure for a sample collection. So right now we have general, support, and sales. I'm sure support would be most interesting to all of you. But basically this gives you a sample of some boards and some cards that might help you get started and kind of be your inspiration for getting started with Guru. If you are just seeing this pop up, feel free to add it. If you already started your trial and you kind of clicked out of this modal already, reach out to us either in the chat or through our support team, and we'll be happy to get one imported into your account for you. Great. So next we're going to talk about how to organize your groups for the different knowledge that you're adding. So you can get more out of your contributors, end users, and eventual analytics. The way in which you structure your groups should reflect how your team is already structured. So you want to name your groups after parts of your organization, and you can get as granular as you want here. So whether that's by like different segments or different types of agents. So maybe you have some, agents that have higher permissioning than others, creating two separate groups for those. And that level of like granularity will help you down the line in terms of permissioning particular content and also viewing analytics on those specific groups. You also want to think about which groups should be experts and which groups should be audiences. So when you're creating groups, you want to make specific ones for subject matter experts, i.e. like your managers, operations leaders, enablement, support leaders, and then for your end users. So for reps, agents, and the rest of your team, those kind of the people who are going to be consuming that knowledge. No matter what knowledge base you're using, access and permissions is super important to like keep in mind for any member. And just when you're organizing your groups, you want to think about just be super mindful of like, okay, who do you want to be creating and who do you want to be consuming? And that's going to set you up for success. So just like we were talking earlier about the collection as the concert or the music festival, with like to think about groups kind of as a artist versus the audience. So both of these groups get to access the concert, but some people are the performers and some people are just there to enjoy the show. So basically, those who are the performers are the ones who are going to be able to author content and really create that experience. And then those who are the attendees are really the consumers, or the people who are just receiving that knowledge. So like I said earlier, setting up your groups now in this way will help you filter your analytics in the future so you can see which authors are really contributing to your knowledge base, creating content, and then from your end user perspective, helping you understand which content is the most valuable, which people are accessing most often, etc. All right, back to polling the people. Last time we talked a little bit about your authors having clear ownership over knowledge. So we're curious, like, when is the last time that your team used not clearly owned information? So I'm just gonna launch this poll here. And feel free to jump in with your vote. All right, yeah, so it looks like most of you are experiencing like people consuming knowledge that's not clearly owned either in the last week or the last month. And we've all kind of been there, and the idea is hopefully to have, clear ownership over your knowledge, and that's something that Guru's verification engine can provide. So hopefully this will be the answer to your not clearly owned knowledge problem. All right, back into story time. So like I said earlier, this issue of not clearly owned knowledge is something that we hear a lot. And so this is something Brianna was experiencing as well. While she was wrangling up a ton of knowledge from different teams, she wasn't really sure who to ask if the information was up to date. So while their support team is helping people with lots of product questions, that had to come from their product team. Other stuff to do with billing, et cetera. There are a lot of sources for these informations. And it's difficult to manage. So by setting up groups like this, Brianna had clearly assigned owners of support information, billing information, product information, etc. So you could assign that to every piece of knowledge in the collection, so that you can find all the knowledge you need and you know who is really responsible for what. Great, so we talked a little bit about groups, and now we're gonna take some time to create a group in Guru and add that group to the collection that we just set up. So this is a two-part process, so bear with me as we run through the instructions. I'm gonna show you guys how to do it, and then like before, I'll show the step-by-step instructions and we'll give you some time to do it. Great. So I'm gonna go back to my Guru page. I see my two collections here. Gonna go back to my team settings and navigate to the groups page. I want to create a group for my CX experts because these are the people who are gonna help me, input content into Guru as we're getting started with our trial. So I've created my group. I'm gonna add myself. I can add any other people in my team and then add them to that group. So that's step one. You've created your new group. Step two is giving that group the access that you want them to have. So here in my customer support collection, all members have read-only access. This experts group is the collection owner, like I described earlier. They can set certain permissions on the board level. We'll get into that another time, but I want to give my CX experts group author access as well. So first thing I'm going to do here is in this search for groups dropdown, I'm going to select CX experts, allow access. And once I add them, they're going to default to added as read-only. So I want to change them to author. So if I click this drop down, I can make them an author. Awesome. So now my CX experts group is an author on this collection. So now it's your turn. Here are the step-by-step instructions to get started and create a group and then add it to your collection. So get started on that and feel free to chime in if you have any questions. All right, we just got a great question. Is it possible to have more than one group with author access to a collection? Yes. So as I showed before, you're going to select the group that you want to give some level of access to in your collection, add it in, and then select that drop down to make them an author. You can make as many groups as you want an author in a collection. There's no restrictions on that. All right, another great question just came in, something we get asked a lot. Can I add individuals to a collection? So everything in Guru is provisioned on a group basis. So if you want to give an individual access to a collection, you will have to add them to one of the groups that has a certain level of access to that collection. So adding individuals always has to happen on the group level, and then permissions for the collection happen on a group level. All right, great. Hopefully that was enough time for you guys to create some groups and get them set up in your new collection. Next, we're gonna take inventory. So we're gonna talk about getting your knowledge in good shape as it currently stands. So how are you going to take inventory of your knowledge? It's just another way that we really think about identifying and evaluating the current state of your content and knowledge for your team. So we want you to think about where your team is at right now when it comes to all of their resources. Where is your knowledge currently living? Do you have access to that info, or do you need to get permission from someone else to get all of that together? What information is currently living in this source? So I know a lot of you said that things are coming from Slack, Google Docs, and Zendesk. Are there different types of materials across those different tools? And kind of like what buckets do they fall into? Are those things up to date, or should they be deprecated? And is there missing info? Are these docs, have some bits of good information in them, but they're really missing a lot of new stuff? And because your business is constantly changing, you want to be aware of that. And then finally, like we're talking about with the groups earlier, who owns this knowledge? Should they be the ones to continue to update and own it, or should it really switch hands? So thinking about all of that as you're getting started so you can put your best foot forward. So basically, while you're putting that best foot forward, we want to know how this is going to pay off for later. So this is kind of an investment in your future state. So the more you find answers and think about those questions I just posed earlier, the more it's going to help you in the long run to make sure you have a solid foundation. So specifically with Guru, identifying your sources of knowledge is going to help with the migration portion of the implementation. So we're really going to help you kickstart with that, with some out-of-the-box features we have from Zendesk Help Center, spreadsheets, as well as syncs. So this is a way that you can help unify your existing knowledge sources into one location, that is Guru. And then next, you want to identify the people you need to contact about these knowledge sources. So maybe you don't own your Zendesk Help Center. Who can help you tap into that and move it over into Guru in a way that works better for your team? And lastly, this is going to help you build that network of champions. That's going to help you kind of maintain Guru as this single source of truth. So people are invested in it. You can be confident in the material, and it's going to encourage Guru adoption across your whole team, so that people will really be confident in what they're consuming and creating is the right thing. All right. Asking the audience one more time. So in keeping this network of champions in mind, it would be great if you guys could identify one person who would be helpful in reviewing the state of your knowledge, who is going to be your partner in crime and kind of tackling this issue. So if you want to give them a shout out in the chat, or just envision their beautiful face, think about that and chime in. All right, we got 2 replies here. Someone said their manager, and we also have a counterpart on the product team. So getting those product folks in there so that your support reps really know what they're talking about. All right, story time again. So now that you've identified like one or more people who would be in this sort of network of champions or on your knowledge council, you're just like Brianna again. When Brianna was reviewing the current state of like their team's knowledge, she realized that there were a ton of people and places to search for, and it was just really like disjointed and time consuming to keep track of all of that. So with Guru, Brianna was able to build a knowledge network with multiple teams who had ownership over different collections, and to really make sure that they were all keeping order on their respective information in one place that everyone could access and feel confident in. All right, one last go time. We know it might feel like a daunting task to like rank all of these people that you work with, but really this is setting you up for success as you go along and making sure that you have everyone on board for this solution that's going to ultimately make your life easier. So we'd love to give you a starting point with this spreadsheet to help you kind of game plan for this adventure. So if you click on this bit.ly, it's going to lead you to this spreadsheet here. which you can make a copy of and start filling out for our next session. So you're going to identify your knowledge source, think about who owns it, and then what materials in that source are going to be relevant for your team in Guru, and then see if you need access to that beyond what you already have. We also have some helpful links here on the side that will help you get going if you have any kind of product related questions on your way. So start filling this out and have it ready for next session, because that's really going to be our jumping off point next time. All right, so just want to recap everything that we talked about today. For next time, you're going to start with this foundation here, that you know how to structure your knowledge base, starting with collections, create and organize groups. So really thinking about, you know, who should be involved and what level of access they should have. So subject matter experts as authors, and then your end users and support reps as your as kind of your knowledge consumers, and then helping you put your best foot forward to take inventory of your current state and how to best move that over into Guru. So for next time, we're going to start with the opportunity for you to share some of the things you learned about the current state of your knowledge network with that spreadsheet. So that's what we're calling, what does good knowledge look like? We're going to focus on making your knowledge look good, so that bringing that info into Guru is effective and people actually want to consume it. So that's going to be on September 25th at 2 p.m. So hope to see you there. And then our third getting started is going to be being in the know, rolling out Guru on October 2nd at 2 p.m. And here we're going to focus on augmenting your workflows with knowledge and rolling Guru out effectively for your team. So building some buzz and really demonstrating the value to your end users, and hopefully pull for some good adoption. And finally, some resources for you that will help you with this entire Guru journey that you're on. First link is for our help center, just some self-service, do some research. And then if you need some extra help, you can always chat with us at support@getguru.com, or within the intercom button in your Guru web app or extension. You'll see a little button that says chat with us. So feel free to chime in there anytime. If you want some more consultative help, we also have this Calendly link where you can go and set up a 30-minute kind of consultation with one of our scalable CSMs. They'd be happy to help you with your kind of unique challenges there. And then lastly, we would love your feedback. So if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, or just some fun ideas of what's missing or what we could do better, head here, give us some feedback, and we'd love to hear it. Thank you all so much for joining today. We hope that this was informative and a good way for you to get started with Guru. If you have any questions, we'll hang out here for a few more minutes and you will receive this recording. So thanks so much for joining us, and we're stoked about you getting started with Guru. Thanks. We just got an awesome question about bringing a Zendesk Help Center into Guru. So this person asks, if I'm currently using a Zendesk Help Center for my team, how should I bring that into Guru? So there are two options. You can migrate your content from Zendesk, or you can do what we call a sync. So a sync would be basically the content would continue to live in your Zendesk Help Center, but as it is updated there, that would reflect into Guru. A migration would be taking that content from Zendesk and moving it full time into Guru. If you do a migration, you do not need to create a collection specifically for that, as the content will live natively in Guru. But if you are syncing, so it will continue to live in Zendesk but be moved synced into Guru, that would have to be in its own individual collection. So you have two options there. Specifics on kind of the difference between those can be found in our Help Center. But yeah, those are the two options to bring Zendesk content into Guru. All right, another person asked, does the same sort of option exist for an intercom help center? As of right now, we do not have any syncing ability with intercom, unfortunately. It's something we've heard requested a lot, so keep your eye out for it someday in the future. You could, I guess, export that content from intercom and migrate that into Guru using your spreadsheet migrator, which would probably be your best option as of right now. One more funny question here asking, does Guru use Guru for their support team? Absolutely. So our support team, as well as our customer success team, so me, I use Guru every day for FAQs, canned replies over Intercom, which is our live chat tool, as well as like certain processes and troubleshooting with customers, and for other things such as all the instructions for me hosting this webinar today. So it really helps me be prepared with my interactions with customers, as well as helping really share like the collective knowledge that we have amongst our like support and CS teams. So so yeah, it's great. We use it all the time. All right, those are some awesome questions. I want to thank you all again for attending today, and we hope that this was informative and fun. So if you have any additional questions, don't hesitate at all to reach out to our support team or in the other methods we mentioned earlier. We're super excited about you starting out your use of Guru and want to support in any way we can. So thanks for joining. Have a great rest of the week and see you next time.